welcome back to the NCSY Pulse. I am sitting here with Raichel Minkov. Raichel, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Raichel, have you started school yet?
No.
No, and you're at
Hofstra
University, which is only about 10 minutes away from my house. What is it about Hofstra that drew you there?
When I went on the tour, it was during spring, so there was a lot of flowers, and my mom loves the flowers, and she's like, tulips, you must go.
Wow, you chose a university that will determine the rest of your life based on the flowers they had growing outside.
It was very homey and yes.
Yeah, no, it's probably good decision making, and hopefully it works out well for you. I'm sure it will. So let's take a step back. Prior to Hofstra, you were involved with NCSY, you were involved with JSU. You're one of our NCSY Alumni Judah Fellows, so we're excited to have you on the team. But tell us a little bit about how you got involved in NCSY and JSU. Who brought you in? Tell us how you got started.
I started freshman year of high school. In my school, they called it Hebrew Culture Club. And so Rabbi Schwartz was running it, and he was telling me that they used to call it the Pizza Club because that's how they got people to come. My school doesn't have that many Jewish students.
Would you say that going to something based on pizza is equal to, greater than, or worse than going to a university based on the flowers?
The pizza I can respect, free food.
Sure.
I think a lot of students come for the food and they just stay because they love it. I came because I loved it.
Of course you did. This is a judgment-free zone. I mean, it's not. We're going to judge. But we're going to laugh while we're judging, so it's okay. So you came for the pizza at first, but you came to love the club.
Yes.
Okay. And you said it was Rabbi Schwartz. Is that Rabbi Yossi Schwartz?
Yeah.
Yossi's a really good guy. Yossi Schwartz is a superstar, and I'm so happy that you guys got connected because that's how you and I got connected. During your time with NCSY, whether it's the Pizza Club or any of the other programs, was there a program or a trip that stood out to you?
Yeah, I went to TJJ 3 years ago. 2021. I looked it up before.
You looked it up. Okay, that's good. That's good prep for this. Who ran your trip on TJJ?
Manu, and there was a rabbi in Israel.
Rabbi Zatz? Yeah. First of all, Manu's awesome.
I love him.
We love Manu. Have you met Manu's wife, Dini?
I met the whole family.
You met the whole family. So I've known their family for years. I've known Dini now for probably, I want to say 15 years or so. They're wonderful. Also huge Harry Potter fans, which is underratedly necessary in NCSY. So tell us about the trip. You were with Manu. You were with Rabbi Zatz. What was it about TJJ that really connected with you?
Well, the public school in my school, there was maybe 3 Jewish students per grade. And so to be with Jewish students, especially high schooler, and it's not family friends, was fun. I got to meet people, and I'm still in touch with some of them now.
I can relate to that. I grew up in Minnesota, where there are very few Jews, and there's very little in the way of kosher food or kosher restaurants. And when I came to New York, my mind was blown. I could not
so
believe
many Jews.
So many Jews, so much kosher food. You live in the Five Towns, correct?
Yeah.
So Central Avenue has,
every other
everything.
store.
Everything. It's amazing, but I can totally appreciate going from a small class with not that many Jewish students, and all of a sudden you're on a bus full of Jewish teenagers with Jewish adults who are there for you. And what an incredible experience. Was that your first time in Israel?
No, I have family in Israel. So I've been to Israel, I think, even when me and my mom, when we were a couple months old. So we've been there forever.
Okay, so you're very well experienced in being in Israel.
Yeah.
And even with that experience, would you say that TJJ, even though you've been to Israel many times and you're kind of a seasoned veteran, would you say that TJJ experience was still something that really was compelling even with your prior experience?
It was completely different. My family lives in Netanya, and when I come to Israel, I only go to Netanya and Jerusalem, and that's it. So in TJJ, we went to the north all the way to the south, and I was like, okay, this is Israel. I've never been anywhere but those 2 places because my family, and there was no other reason why.
Right. You get the whole experience there. And it sounds like you almost didn't even realize that half of these places existed when you were there.
I was like, okay.
That's great. And that's one of the things that makes TJJ so special. Is there something Jewish-wise that you would say that either while you were on TJJ or maybe as a follow-up to TJJ that because of your time with NCSY that you were maybe inspired to do?
I love the Shabbatons. Like the first Shabbaton, like the Shabbos there was like, it was crazy. I loved it. We just got off the plane. We barely know each other's names and we're singing, we're dancing, we're enjoying a meal and we're davening. Like I've never experienced that. So when I hear that there's a Shabbaton, I'm like, okay, I could do this. I barely knew these people and I was on a month trip, so I could do 2 days.
So you are really well-versed in Judaism, in Israel. This is a really, really important question now, and you will be judged really harshly for the way you answer it. Do you have a favorite Jewish food?
I love Hanukkah. So anything like Hanukkah food, like latkes. I'm Russian. We like our potatoes.
So latkes, sufganiyot,
yes.
Hanukkah cookies, yay or nay?
Like
depends, right?
I feel like you're already eating so many donuts that you're not going for the cookies.
Yeah, I hear that. And I feel like cookies are almost like a disappointment compared to donuts. It's like, what would you rather have, a cookie or a donut? Donuts win, 95% of the time?
All the time.
All the time, 100% of the time. Okay, favorite Jewish food, Hanukkah, great. But the flip side, is there a Jewish food that just terrifies you, grosses you out, something that just like there's no way you will not eat it?
Any fish. I don't like fish.
You don't like fish.
Gefilte fish, that is, I can't. My grandma made it a couple weeks ago she's from Israel, so she's in here now. She's going back, so my mom loves gefilte fish for Rosh Hashanah, and she made it, was, the smell.
Does your grandmother know that you have this strong feeling about her fish?
She does.
Oh, she knows that you think this way.
I was working, she made it.
Wow. Okay, but you've tried her fish?
No.
You haven't tried it?
No.
Well, we have a surprise for you. Your grandmother is right here with them. That would have been amazing, right? What a great surprise. It's like a classic TV show. We brought your grandmother with gefilte fish and you're going to try it on our show. No, there is nothing quite as bad as gefilte fish gone wrong. And if it goes right, I feel like the upside to gefilte fish is limited. If it goes right, if it's good, it's fine. It's okay.
I don't like fish in general.
You're not a fish person. My wife also.
Fish.
My wife will not eat any fish. I'm with you. It's dangerous. Gefilte fish is, of Jewish food, the most dangerous, I would say.
And there's canned gefilte fish.
It's the worst, right? With the slime, like the little pieces floating. They look like small brains, right? Floating in the slime. Okay, so refocusing ourselves now that we've sort of purged the thought of awful gefilte fish from our minds. You're at Hofstra. Obviously, the spring semester was very challenging for Jewish students. Is there anything you're concerned about going back to school now because of what occurred during that semester and what's been happening over the summer? Any concerns that you have with getting back to school on campus?
No, it's going to be interesting because the year anniversary is going to come up and you don't know how it will play on both ends, whether it would be like pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, like how I think it will just be very hard. A couple friends that I know, their colleges already had protests. It is a week into college.
Right.
So it's going to be definitely interesting. They only really started protest spring semester, and one was professor run and one was student run. So it will be interesting to also see how many student run and professor runs and who are those professors, because I had one of my professor there. So, and it's not public knowledge unless you have that professor and people write it, but some people don't know who these professors are. So picking classes were a little strange because it's like, oh, is that teacher going to be holding a Free Palestine? I tried to find people the anthropology department. Those were running the protests, so I definitely avoided those classes.
Right. That's really tough. Are you ever nervous about taking a specific class or with a specific professor that your grades could be influenced because you're pro-Israel and because you're Jewish?
Yeah, there's this class called terrorism, And I was like, okay, I'm just like gonna avoid
A nice
it
vanilla
all.
name.
It's like terrorism and something. Like, okay, no, thank you. No, thank you.
That's what we would call an unnecessary risk, I
Yeah.
guess. That's really challenging. And I'm glad that at least you have the Judah Fellowship and your NCSY support system. Not everybody has that. And it's got to be really tough going to a campus where you know there's going to be these challenges waiting for you. And certainly when they're driven by some of the professors that you might be taking, who might be grading your tests and your papers, that could be really scary. As we kind of wrap up the interview, is there somebody in the NCSY or JSU world that you would want to thank for the way they impacted your life?
I think Manu from TJJ, like every once in a while, if I do something new, started going to these new Shabbats, I'll text him after Shabbat, oh, I went to this. Like, I think that's one person who, if I go ahead in my Jewish identity or feel more connected, I'm like, I need to text Manu. I need to give him an update. That was like 3 years ago.
That's awesome. And knowing Manu, I can tell you with certainty that he really appreciates hearing everything that you are telling him. The messages, the updates. Manu lives for this stuff. So hearing from you is probably the highlight of his day. Last question. If you could find somebody who's just getting started with JSU, who's just getting started with NCSY, and you had the opportunity to give them a piece of advice, what would you tell them?
I think try to be more social, be outgoing, and don't stick to the few people. Like, I went to TJJ by myself. I didn't know anyone, and I had the best time. I think it's good to go by yourself because you can grow without anyone holding you back. Not necessarily that your friends will hold you back, but you'll be able to grow without anyone. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you will do that.
Listen, it's important to sometimes take steps out of your comfort zone. That's where we grow. We grow when there's challenge. And the fact that you're willing to be a little adventurous and to take a chance is really, that's an amazing attribute. Raichel, this has been great. Super fun. We have to bring you back on the podcast soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This has been the NCSY Pulse, and we'll talk to you soon.